All right. So now we got Penn State coming in. So I guess we're going to figure out who wants it more, who's demoralized, who's given up on the season. Penn State certainly had those Big Ten title aspirations. I'm sure a lot of teams do, but in terms of a legitimate, what most people expected of them as a top 10 team in the country coming into the season, they blew that ridiculous game at Indiana where they statistically dominated the game and gave up that crazy play in overtime after they'd only given up just over 100 yards of total offense until the last drive of the game and almost rang up 500 themselves. Still lost 36-35. Played one of the best teams in the country the next week. Stayed within range, but never really threatened. Lost that by, I think it was 35-23, 38-23, something in that range, but they scored a late touchdown. And then the shocker was to have Maryland. I don't know if you guys have seen these numbers. Penn State beat them last year, 59-zip. The last 3 years, Penn State beat them 136-3. And Maryland goes up there and trounces them. So, man, I don't know where the Penn State psyche can be right now because they expected to be a Big Ten and a national contender, and they've lost their best defensive player, Micah Parsons. He opted out, stayed out.
Thank
then
God.
Journey Brown, one of the best runners in the nation, who has an unfortunate condition with his heart and had to give up football. It was just announced today. So it was a medical situation that wasn't revealed to us right before the season. And then even his backup, Noah Cain, who, and I know I'm spitting out things that Greg knows off the top of his head, Noah Cain, a top 5 running back in the nation, his backup got knocked out the first series of the season. So Penn State just kind of looking around, wondered what happened. And you got 2 blue bloods going at it in Lincoln, but combined 0-5.
Yeah, surprising. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff, huh? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Penn State's supposed to be the second best team in the conference, but yeah, it's hard to explain just what happened with the Nittany Lions, and they've been hitting. Can't talk here. They've been hit hard by that injury bug, obviously. So yeah, traveling to here, at least Nebraska's 0-2 for them to look forward to. So, Nebraska hasn't done anything to scare anybody yet. So that's at least in their favor. But, yeah, I know it's got to be hard to come to Lincoln, the way they're feeling. I mean, they probably feel like their dog just died. It's baffling the way things have been going on in the league. And, Maryland, my goodness, they're all of a sudden looking like a scary team. So, yeah, this is going to be the real test for Nebraska. I mean, they both played Ohio State, and, Ohio State, or at least Penn State did stay with the Buckeyes for a little while. But, Nebraska's going to have a different kind of a test. Obviously, looking at Penn State's offense, they're going to attack Nebraska. They're going to throw the ball down the field. That's kind of their MO. So they're going to test Nebraska's secondary, and Nebraska's going to have to make a choice if they're going to try to take away the short game or if they're going to try to take away the long game. Because if they try to take away that long ball, then they're going to run that slant to death and 5 to 7 yard Nebraska all day long. So. Yeah, gonna be interested to see who wants to win this one more.
Well, Chris, you had referenced it with the 4 and 5 stars. Penn State is recruited like nobody else in the Big Ten outside of Columbus, Ohio. So there's definitely going to be talent out there, even though, again, they're missing arguably their best offensive player, maybe 2 best offensive players. Pat Fryermuth is one of the best tight ends in the country, and he's still on the field. But Micah Parsons gone, and a team that's looks a bit demoralized after that Maryland game.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State's a really good team. I don't think they're going to be a pushover by any means. They played Indiana really close. They played Ohio State well, and then I think they just slipped up against Maryland. Maryland's playing really good. They got the Tagovailoa kid, or however you say his last name. I mean, he's slinging it. So Penn State's not a bad team, and like Greg said, they're going to throw the ball. They have, like you said, the tight end 87, the baby Gronk guy. He's huge, and then they have Dotson, the wide receiver. Dotson, I was looking at his stats today, and he's averaging like over 100 yards per game. So they're definitely going to throw the ball. Nebraska's going to have to somehow create some type of a pass rush, and the secondary is going to have to hold up. Their quarterback is athletic, slippery, gets out of the pocket well. He averages around 17 to 18 carries a game as well, whether that's designed or a scramble, but he can move well. So the linebackers, I thought the linebackers played really well against Northwestern, and they're going to be challenged again this week. But the game's in Lincoln, and I think Nebraska needs to go in there and cut it loose. They don't have much to lose at this point. You know, a lot of people had them obviously losing the Ohio State game. They had them winning probably Northwestern. Now we're 0-2, and I think if you can somehow come out with a win here, I think it'll really turn around what the season looks like at this point. So,
well, you know, Nebraska likes to mention their 500-mile radius when they talk about recruiting. So obviously, the biggest rival would be Iowa, which right now with Nebraska having 3 commits out of the state of Iowa this year, they've gone in there and been able to flex their muscle. And a lot of that has to do with defensive coordinator Eric Shenander, who's from that area, and he takes it very personally. If an Iowa guy ends up going to Iowa, he'd rather have him come to Nebraska any day. But after Iowa, you want to kind of look at at that Chicago area with Northwestern, even though they kind of recruit a different type of a player. Wisconsin is a school that likes to recruit the Nebraska area as well. So you got to kind of watch out for those guys. Nebraska has good luck with recruiting Minnesota kids as well. But then most of the rest of the league, Nebraska is recruiting more of the other states, that are kind of Big 12 schools. So you don't have that Big 10 recruiting competition with a lot of those guys. And then obviously, they're always going to be throwing their name in the hat with a lot of the guys that, Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan are recruiting as well, because you've got to recruit those guys. But the biggest rivals in the Big Ten Conference are going to be those schools that are closer to Nebraska.
Want to remind everybody out there that Nebraska Cornhuskers Live is only possible and brought to you by the fine folks and the Cornhusker fans at Phone Genie. So just go to ToleyBrothersLLC.com. You see it there on the screen, ToleyBrothersLLC.com. Tolley Brothers offers products for home and workplace mitigation for serious germ mitigation efforts. So check them out. And again, keep in mind that we only have this Nebraska show because of those fine folks there. There was a demand for Nebraska football content, more of it here. And so we appreciate their support. So we got a comment coming in from Husker Motion about the defense, and the defense playing well last week against Northwestern. I'm looking at the stat line right now. I'm seeing that Nebraska out first downed Northwestern 28-14, gained 442 total yards to 317, held Northwestern to 169 yards passing and 3.9 yards per rush attempt. That looks like a pretty winning effort on defense, especially in 2020 when people are scoring 40 points a game.
No, I not meant to say that earlier. The defense did play well enough to win that game. That's all on the offense, special teams that gave that to Northwestern. And, that's why I kind of mentioned this week it's going to be different, because they're facing a completely different type of a defense with Penn State. So, it's going to be, like I said, this is going to be a big test for the defense. And Chris mentioned earlier that the linebacker play, and the linebacker play was very, very good. And the defensive line, they're progressing. they're doing some good things, and if they can get a decent pass rush going on Saturday, I expect them to play pretty well. And the young secondary starting to grow up pretty quick. So, and they're at full strength. So that's a big key here too for Saturday.
How do you like the defense, Chris?
I mean, I thought the defense played really well. Like we were saying, those stats that you just brought up. I mean, Nebraska outgained them by almost like 125 yards. The defense played really, like I said, after we talked, well enough to win that game, undoubtedly. I think that they've been stout in the run game. Sometimes they can't get off the field on third down, but I thought that they played well enough, like I said, to win the game. It's gonna come down to what the secondary looked like, and this week, I guess you don't have to worry about those two being out. I guess the first half they have Cam Taylor and Williams in the secondary. Reimer played really well last week, the freshman linebacker. I don't know if Honus is back or not this week, who he was filling in for. But yeah, it was extremely frustrating when you look at those stats and then you see the score of the game.
Who's your favorite player on this team, Chris?
I like Cam Taylor. I think Cam Taylor, he plays with a lot of aggression. He plays with he has a lot of fun out there. He's vocal. He's always communicating. He can do everything. I mean, he's in the secondary. He was a quarterback in high school. When we for sure need somebody to just catch a punt, he's back there catching punts. So I like Cam Taylor. Yeah.
So did he have to sit out the first half of the game?